This is Jack Knight Winners with Jack Frost University. So I want to tell people, I'm in my car driving and I don't have my selfie stick, so it's going to be a bit bumpy. But so I want to talk about, how to look at things differently from a lawful perspective. Okay, as from the perspective of someone studying law, contract law, common law, and then all of the international laws and everything. I just wanted to give you a perspective of the police officers when they pull you over, exactly what's going on, because we don't really know what's going on. We see things from a different perspective than all of the courtrooms do and all of the judges and everything. So I'm gonna explain things from a different perspective than you're used to. So a cop is behind you. By the way, I took off my license plates. I don't have any plates on again. I know, we just went through this, right? I have no plates on. I have no sign that says private traveler, no nothing. I'm driving around again without any plates whatsoever. And here's what happens. Like, when a cop is behind you and he sees that you have a license plate, okay, these guys they don't actually have jurisdiction over you unless you give it to them. They don't have any jurisdictions over you unless you give it to them. But we give it to them by the contracts that we sign, okay? So you don't understand, most people don't understand that when you go to DMV and you register your vehicle, number one, it was never necessary to begin with. It's not necessary to register your vehicle. There's no law that states that you have to register your vehicle, okay, or your automobile, okay? It's just, you just assume because your parents raised you that way, you just assume that you needed to. You don't need to, okay? So when you register your vehicle and they give you that 3-page long document that you need to sign, you sign it. You don't even read it, and you know you didn't read it. You did not stand in a fucking DMV office for 45 minutes trying to make sense of that 3-page long document. You just signed it because your parents signed it and you trust your parents. Okay, stop doing that. But the part of the contract that was signed, it says in there that number one, this is just for your vehicle registration. I'm not even talking about your license. Okay, that's a whole different thing. You went and you pledged your vehicle to the Crown, or you pledged your vehicle to DMV, and then they put they become the lien holders, the primary lien holders on your vehicle. So, you ever wonder why a cop can has the authority to pull you out of break your windows, pull you out of your vehicle, and place you in a county jail? It's because you signed a contract with the Department of Motor Vehicles. And that's part of what you agreed to. You signed that. You signed it. You said, yes, I agree that in exchange for this, basically a license plate, you got to that's the benefit. You got a license plate. Wow, congratulations, dude. What a fucking winner. You got a license plate out of that. But in return for that license plate, and in return for paying for it, you also... It's so stupid now once you figure it out. But, so what happens is, you agreed that if a cop has his lights on behind you, and it looks like he wants to pull over, you agreed to pull over, and you agreed to surrender your vehicle to these cops, because, they're acting as like trustees in a way. So that's what happens when a cop is behind you, and he sees you have plates. He's measuring risk, right? Because they're all bonded. They all have insurance policies that cover their actions. The reason why they have insurance bond and insurance providers is because they fuck up from time to time. Every time that they pull over a car, they're taking a risk. There is a certain level of risk in what they're doing in their jobs. And when they see that state license plate, they're pretty damn sure that they have the authority to pull you over and to pull you out, take you out of your vehicle, if you don't comply with them, to take you out of your car and place you in jail for resisting arrest or whatever. They can just make shit up, okay? But that is the first nexus that's established. So right off the bat, from their perspective, or from any from a lawful perspective, they see a state license plate, they see it's got proper tags, and they say, oh, good. There you must have entered into contract with the DMV, and they probably know what the contract, the cops don't know, but the judge, they know what the contract states. So you're giving them the tools to arrest you by having things like a state license plate, okay? That state plate with tags, updated tags, says there's one piece of evidence, and then they measure the risk, and they decide there's not much risk here. He's entered into contract with DMV, okay? That's just your state plates. And then they pull you over, and what's the first thing they ask you for? Oh shit, I went too far. First thing they ask you for is your license. Can I see your license? License, registration, insurance, okay? They're looking for more evidence that you've entered into contract with DMV and placed yourself under the jurisdiction of the United States, of the federal government, okay? That's what they're looking for. So when you give over your driver's license, well, there's two. Now they got two pieces of evidence that you are under their jurisdiction, okay? And again, we just keep giving it to them, right? Wow, I went way too far. Holy shit. So those two right there is all they really need to prove, hey, there's a contract, there's two key pieces of evidence that place this person into the jurisdiction of the United States, okay? You don't need any of that. So again, I took off my, of course, last time I did this, I ended up in jail, but just testing the system. I'm just testing things. But I got the necessary paperwork on me, and I know the right words to speak. You can't just, like I said, you can't just jump out of your 30-year-old F-150 that's all rusted up, armed with nothing but a shotgun and the word sovereign. Like, that's not gonna cut it. You gotta break the nexus. You gotta sever the nexus that you've created with all these contracts. So what I'm doing now is, number one, to the people that offended me, Mosaic Law states, Mosaic Law, that like the Old Testament law, which is kind of where all this law comes from anyway. It's all just publicly recorded, but the Bible's just like a public record, basically, of some interesting stuff. But Mosaic Law, first you go to the person who is offending you. In my case, it's the Boulder Police Department and it's the Sheriff's Department, because they're the one holding me when I go to jail. So, and the Boulder Police are the one actually arresting you. So, without any state license plates, without the only nexus, there's not much nexus left, because I never pay taxes. I haven't paid taxes, and I think I've paid taxes in a combined total of 3 times in the last 20 years. Because again, when you place taxes, they have a little question on there. It says, are you a U.S. citizen? You're like, yeah. You don't want to be one. You don't want to be in the private jurisdiction of the United States. Okay? So I'm going to be mailing this letter, this legal document, to the Boulder Police Department and to the Boulder Sheriff's County Sheriff's Office, and saying, hey, it's just some legal jargon that basically says that they don't. Oh, where are they? Legal jargon that says that they can't prove that I'm a citizen of the United States. They have no jurisdiction over me. You got to deal with them directly first before you go anywhere else, because they're the people actually offending you. And that's actually common law. That's Old Testament law. You got to say, hey, this is what you're doing to me, and this is how you're violating my constitutional rights. I also understand that we're under martial law, so I got a lot of. That's why they have the gold and yellow fringes on the flags in the courtrooms. I think we're under martial law, you guys. Abraham. Anyway, I'll talk about that later. I'm almost where I need to be. So yeah, you don't need state license plates. All that does is prove your state license plates. Basically proves that there's a nexus between you and the federal government. That you've entered into contract with them. You're proving it. You're providing them evidence. And then they pull you over and they're like, well, is this your car? Is this your vehicle? They ask questions, but all the questions that they're asking for aren't to help you out. It's not to establish a friendly relationship with you like they want you to think. No, they're trying to prove or get more evidence out of your mouth that they have jurisdiction over you. And you got to stop giving them that evidence. They don't need to give them an ID card from DMV. So I'll be sending a letter to DMV also telling them that they don't have permission, that I'm revoking my signature based on fraud. And we'll get my name out of their system. Then I'm all right, so yeah, quickly also, so I, about a year ago, I had an altercation with like 6 policemen. No, well, it started off with 2 and they ended up with 6 of them, but these 2 policemen had an interaction with them, and I must have said something. I said, like, what do I got to do to get you guys off my ass? Or something. I was just speaking really directly to him. I was being polite and professional, which is unusual, but I was just asking him, it's like, are there any people that just have any kind of special privilege to not be bothered by you? Is there a secret code or a password? Is there any kind of lawful jargon that I can use to get you guys to fuck off? And he asked me, he said, well, are you a Mexican? I was like, no, I'm not a Mexican. He's like, well, sometimes, there's like white Mexicans. I mean, there's like a lot of white Mexicans around there. And I'm like, and I sat and thought about that. And by the way he was answering the question, he was actually trying to help me out. I could tell. And so I was paying attention to what he was saying. It's like, Mexican. And I'm like, well, now I got it figured out. Here's the thing. They don't have jurisdictions over Mexicans coming across the border. Because they're not United States citizens. The media always tries to portray it as a bad thing. Like, if you're not a U.S. citizen, you must be bad. They're always doing that, but it's not that way. It's good. So I get it now. The reason why he was saying that is because these Mexicans will come across the border and they'll sleep in their van or whatever. There's like 5, like a whole big family, and I'll watch these cops pull them. They all get out of their van, but they don't do anything. They let them go. Meanwhile, people like me go to jail, but they get let go. And I'm like, what is that? Why do they have this privilege? It's because they know for a fact that they don't speak English, they don't have any identification, and so they don't have jurisdiction over them. They have no evidence that says, yes, this person's under our jurisdiction. They don't have it. So they have to let him go. So basically what the cop was telling me, which I didn't understand it at first, but now I do, is that they don't have jurisdiction. They have to find evidence that says you're a United States citizen. Without that, they have nothing. So, yeah.